There are a couple of things that were said and that will continue to be said. We suffer in Guyana from some serious crises. One, we have a crisis of governance, not government, but governance. And as a consequence of that crisis, we are where we are in this country at this point in time. It is amazing that after 45 years of independence, Guyana is worse off than it ever has been. And I say this without apology. In the 40s and 50s, the Bajans, the Trinidadians, the St. Lucians, the Grenadians, all came to our country to find work, to find living, to find a new life. Because economic prosperity, economic potential lay in this country that was then British Guyana. It was then a land of opportunity and plenty, a land of good governance, a land where every single Guyanese, or British Guyanese then, felt respected and honored and could walk the streets secure and could build individual fortunes without having themselves harassed day by day. But sadly, after 45 years of independence, from 1966 to now, this country has slipped into an abyss of ignorance and poverty that is unprecedented. And what is sad about it, we've become a nation that has been ruled by incompetence to such an extent that a lie has been spoken over and over that we have become to believe the lie. So what we have is a university of liars masquerading behind a political screen. Every single day in the newspaper, you read about billions and millions of dollars, sometimes US dollars, that are going into various projects. What you can't understand is how does that relate to putting a loaf of bread on your table? How does that relate to giving you an extra pint of rice? How does that relate to clearing the debt burden that you face at the end of the month or the week? How does that relate to sending your children to school? How does that relate to buying little milk to put in your house? These are the realities that confront us regardless of our race or color or our creed. Regardless of where we've come from. Regardless of who are our parents. We are bound together by the same common interests. And we have the same level of incompetent governance over and over and over. And one man said, only a fool does the same thing the same way every time and expects a different result. We are where we are in Guyana because we have made choices that have consequences. Every choice you make in this life has a consequence. And in the past, we made choices that led us to the consequences that now confront us. So when we see the poor governance, when we see the abysmal corruption, insolence, nepotism, lawlessness, injustice, discrimination that rules and becomes the order of the day rather than the exception, we understand that we have placed that in their hands. We have given them that power by our vote. However, I have news for you. We've said enough of the past. I want to bring you to reality in this community. Whenever the government comes around with a laptop issue, instead of one laptop, you should really ask them for a HiMac, one HiMac. The reality is that we major in the wrong things. What use is it going to do if we don't have the proper drainage, which will bring proper food production, which will bring proper jobs, which will create employment? It makes absolutely no sense. We keep going around in circles, believing the lies. The AFC's plan and program for Guyana is built around creating a just and equitable society is built around good governance, is built around sound investment. Where is that investment going to come from? Certainly we understand that if we have good governance, which has justice and equity and racial cohesion, and the people of Guyana can work respectfully and respectively to achieve their individual goals, then the levels of investment will improve, because we will be able, we are speaking with people who are willing to invest money in this country, who are willing to bring major industrial and other investment into Guyana. It is investment that brings jobs. It is investment that brings employment. It is not talk and talk and talk. We've heard enough talk. We speak into the future of this country. And because we speak into the future, we speak into the future of investment. Sound investment into Guyana. And with investment will come a higher quality of life for all Guyanese. With investment will come better pay for all Guyanese. With investment will come happier homes for all Guyanese. This is what we advocate in the AFC. We look into the future and we see in our AFC policy plan and program a future where our teachers could be better paid, where our teachers could be better respected, where our teachers could build homes with the salaries they earn. We look into the future and see that from good teachers, because they're paid well, because they're trained well, they then can teach well. So we look into the future and see a teaching system and an education system in which all have equal access and equal possibilities, because we believe in that equity. We look into our security sector and we see a police force that is reorganized, a police force that is restructured. You know, this administration threw away $4 billion of aid that would have caused the Guyana police force to become a more professional, competent, and people-friendly police force. We are going to bring back that level of aid. We are going to employ the strategists and the security personnel from Scotland Yard, from the United States, and from the developed countries to bring about a level of security in our country that we so badly need. Because with all this investment and all these jobs and all this extra money, we need a strong and efficient police force. But even as we speak to the police, we speak about increasing their level of pay, making sure that our policemen are paid properly, so that their level of competence, honesty, and integrity can be improved. We speak to the sugar industry, and we say that we are going to reform the sugar industry, so that sugar estates are no longer just sugar, and today you're in and tomorrow you're out. We have been playing jackabout too often with people's lives. We've been playing around with people's lives and their employment and their families. And what is sad about it, we've been made a pack of fools, because we are paid $5 and we can hardly look after our families, and then somebody comes and says, look, I got a little bread for you, and we can give you a little milk, and we can give you a little laptop, and we can give you a little school uniform, and you could go on and on. Let me tell you something. Good governance is about accountability. Good governance is about respectability. Being able to respect its citizens and understand that we are not mendicants and beggars. We are a proud people. This country was built by proud people who worked their butts off, who made sacrifices to build these villages and dig these canals. Don't be disrespected to the point where you have to go around anywhere begging a government for what is rightfully yours. If people are paid properly, if men are paid properly, then homes will be happier in this country. And we have a program to pay people properly, because as we attract investment, And as investment comes into this country, and as investors pour money into this country, the level of salary will go up, jobs and employment will be created, and people's homes will be happier places, and domestic violence may be a thing of the past. We seem to be putting the cart before the horse. There's a lot of emphasis on trying to sort out domestic violence and sort out single parenting. But we are saying that if there are solid homes and if there's a solid family structure that respects men and women, and if children grow up in a family structure that is comfortable and provides for their needs and has the level of leadership, then our country is going to be a better country. Our place is going to be a better place. And this community is going to be a better community. We want an end to the poverty that faces this nation. We want an end to the ignorance that faces this nation. We want an end to the stupidity that faces this nation. We are pulled into a hole and we seem to be going down every single day of our life. Why in the midst of so much is there so little? Why in the midst of so much wealth is there so great poverty? Why in the midst of so much knowledge is there so much ignorance? I'll tell you why. There's a deliberate plan to keep this nation poor and hungry. There's a deliberate plan by this administration to keep this nation ignorant and always begging. You see, you can control a hungry man. You can control a poor man. You can control a man who has to keep begging you. You cannot control a man whose mind is liberated. You cannot control a man who is independent. You cannot control a man who respects himself and respects his family and has dignity and integrity and can speak to the nonsense that goes on in this country. And that's what this government fears most. We in the AFC have said clearly that because there's a crisis of governance, we understand that governance is not only in the general. Governance has to affect each and every community. Governance has to become a part and parcel of number 22 and Hopetown. Governance has to be a part and parcel of Berbice and Demerara. It cannot be so centralized that the president and his ministers, quote unquote, sit down there and pontificate and make decisions for people who live 50 miles away from them. You know, you hear all the talk about a caring government, but I want to remind you that care is a complete word. Care has to show itself in action. Where is this caring government when you can't get a job? Where is this caring government that denies single parents their rightful place? Where is this caring government when children are not afforded a proper and decent meal in schools? You deprive the parent of a proper pay and then suddenly turn with $1,500 for the uniform allowance. Let me tell you something. I come from a family, my mother had 11 children. She made 11 children and all of us went to school. We walked 4 miles to go to school. So don't tell me about that. We walked 4 miles to go to school and all 11 of us went to school. And you know something? She never went one day on the road to beg for a uniform. She was a proud woman. She recognized the dignity of labor, and she said, you know something, I am not going to stoop to any handouts. And she encouraged us all to work with our hands and our heads to achieve that which is possible. And I urge you as a people to desist from stooping and stand up for what is right. Stand up with dignity. Stand up on the authority that you are Guyanese, and you deserve better governance. You deserve a better day. You deserve a better country. You deserve a better community. You don't have to go around begging some minister to fix a road, begging some minister to put some lights, begging some minister to regularize a couple of house lots, begging some minister to put some drains in the place to drain off water. That is utter corruption and nonsense, and we've encouraged it too long. But we have news for you. We have news for you. I have news for you tonight. You have the key in your hand For too long we have sat down as a people and allowed all sorts of people to speak into our lives. Let this year be a year of decision that marks a change in your mindset and that sets the stage for your future and your children's future. Put away the nonsense that has enslaved you for a long time. It's some racial void that tells you you're a black man, so you gotta vote for black people, or you're Indian, you gotta vote for Indian. Stop the nonsense that has enslaved you for so long. We have been fooled by people who have an agenda. We have been tricked after all these years. Where are you? Are you better off? No. Are you any brighter? No. Are you any wealthier? No. Are you any healthier? No. Are you any stronger? No. So what do you do with that? You know what you do? You kick them out. You have the authority in your hand, people. You have the authority to change the face of this country forever. You have the authority to make the Bajans and the Trinidadians turn around and respect this country and respect its citizens again. You have the authority, but when you go to the embassy, they don't look at you with scorn any longer. They look with respect because you're a dignified person. Take this opportunity seriously. Take this opportunity seriously. You may never get an opportunity to turn your country on its right path again. When election time comes, forget the people who are speaking into your ears and vote with your conscience. Vote on what you see, the issues before you. Forget the color of the man who speaks to you and look at the message and forget the messenger, because the message is so clear that we need a change in this country. We need a change in our moral standards. We speak to families in this country and we say proudly that the Alliance for Change, the leadership of the Alliance for Change, have people in it who are all married and have families. So we understand the cries of families. We understand hurting of wives because we have wives. We understand the hurting of children because we have children. Don't let people come masquerading to you who not a wife or a child and telling you when you care. That is hypocrisy at the very highest level. We care, that's why we are here. We care, that's why we go from the end of Crabwood Creek and Oriel and all those places to the uttermost end of this country, declaring one message. We speak about one coalition because in the coming together of the AFC, it was the greatest and most significant coalition that this country has ever experienced. Because the leadership of the AFC came from 3 other parties. Mr. Raphael Trotman came from the PNC. People forget that. He couldn't take it any longer, as my brother Fitz said. And when you can't take it no more, you got to say enough is enough. Mr. Cameron Ramjadan came from the PPP. He too couldn't take it any longer. He said enough is enough. Enough of this skullduggery. Enough of the corruption. Enough of the nonsense. Miss Sheila Holder was in the WPA. People's memory shot. She said, I'm done with that. And these 3 brave souls decided we are going to form a coalition. And that's why they call it the Alliance. But they didn't stop there. They said the Alliance for Change. To change this country and its racial patterns. To change this country and its dishonesty. To change this country and its lawlessness. To change this country and its poor governance. That's what we speak about. That's what we are. And that's who we are. We are agents of change, and you are agents of change. You have the key in your hand. My final word to you. You have a historic opportunity to do something that your forefathers did not do. To do something that those who have now gone did not do. And that is to vote on the issues that confront you. When you go into that ballot box, into that little room, and you are going to put your X, always remember your children and your children's children. Always remember that that vote you make today is going to determine the life you live for the next 5 years. So you're not making a vote in October or November when to last for this year. It is a 5-year vote. So when you make your vote, that is your personal choice. It is a 5-year contract with prosperity or lawlessness. With prosperity.